Hey guys, interesting bit out of the tennis world last week. I was watching a virtual interview with Stan Wawrinka, and he was asked, especially at Grand Slams, who would he like to play the most, or who do you think had the best chance against? Nadal, Djokovic, or Federer? Interestingly enough, he said Djokovic, which initially might sound not wrong, but um, it would you might think he might want to play one of the others because obviously Djokovic has been on top for a while. But after looking a little bit closer into it, it makes some sense. So I want to kind of look at some clips from a few different matches and kind of look at why he might have said that. So the first one I'm going to look at is the Australian Open 2017 semi against Federer, and really the first set shows you why um, Stan has such a difficult time, and he only has a few wins against Federer, actually all of them being on clay. So this kind of shows you why it's so difficult for him. The first thing I noticed was the unpredictability, obviously, of Federer. He can play all over the court. He can make you obviously come up with passing shots, and he's a capable volleyer. He closes the net, which sometimes Nadal and Djokovic do not do as well of. I'm sure they can, but they don't really commit to it. Um, he also doesn't really let Stan get in any sort of rhythm. Those of you that watch a lot of tennis probably know that Stan needs a lot of more time on his shots, or a little bit more time than average, really to set up. And he really likes to get into longer rallies, which obviously why he's had a lot of success on clay as well. But especially on the hard court, and as you can see here, Federer effectively, I believe here, or maybe in the next point, he effectively uses the slice, which makes it really difficult for Stan to really get the ball in his strike zone. You see the short ball there. And he kind of it's kind of a little cat and mouse sort of stuff around the net, which obviously I would think in that particular case, Federer is going to win that a majority of the time. He can absorb the power, which obviously Stan has probably almost more than anybody. But as you see, a lot of short balls, not getting into extended rallies. So that's a pretty interesting, I think, little, just one set, but I think that can be repeated from Federer, and that's why I think it's so difficult for Stan to actually win that particular match. Next one I wanted to show was some examples from Nadal. Um, on clay, I think it's obviously pretty unfair against any player. Stan has a lot of success on clay. Maybe this probably I would say definitely top five clay player over the past 5 years. The problem is, I mean, with anybody is Nadal is always kicking up with big spin up to the lefty or to the one-handed backhand. So that's difficult. Stan's actually only beaten Nadal on clay once. He's only beaten him 3 times total, but only one of those was on clay. So this kind of gives you some examples of why Stan would have a lot of trouble with Nadal, especially on clay. As you're more than likely going to see a lot from Stan's obviously going to keep hitting back. He gets a little more time on the clay, which is obviously an advantage to him. Coming forward, obviously, he's good against Nadal. So obviously, he's going to have some success. He's obviously a top 5 player.
Ok, beau.
But he's got to come up with those kind of shots. He's got to come up with those consistently. In this set, we 2 out of 3 sets here, but at a Grand Slam, so 3 out of 5, which he's capable of doing. We've seen it before, but it's just so difficult to do it over multiple hours, especially against the ball. So you see here, he's doing a lot better job of putting down the angles, going for his stuff. I mean, it's really, I think he feels like he has to do that against Nadal. But as you see here comes a lot of backhands. He's not going to get in the forehand, which makes sense. It's what Nadal kind of is classically done. He forces you, obviously forces the double there, which probably is with other points. Again, more backhands.
Toujours cette excellente qualité chez Rafael Nadal.
Voilà un excellentissime départ.
This is the kind of points that Stan wants to get into, if possible. But when you come up with shots like that, it's almost too good. These are the kinds where we can sit up and bludgeon while he wants to have more time like this. So the forehand especially. But like I said, if he's not on, it's going to be tough. So Stan's actually won the last couple matchups against Djokovic, both of them at the U.S. Open, obviously in a Grand Slam, and that's what he said he felt like he had the best chance against. So I thought it'd be interesting to think about why that is the case. I think it's mostly because one, Djokovic is not as intimidating on serve, at least the initial at the beginning of the point, and I think he gets more rhythm from Djokovic. Just because the ball, obviously it's a tough ball either way, but Djokovic almost wants to get into extended rallies, and that's kind of plays a little bit into Stan's game if he's on. So the ball's not kicking as high like for Nadal, and then for Federer, he's more unpredictable. Serve volley plays a little more kind of aggressive and a little more, like I said, unpredictable. Bring you forward, things like that. Djokovic is a little more predictable with his ball. Obviously, he's in some ways even more difficult to beat at times. But I think if Stan's on, he's got a pretty good shot against Djokovic, just because the ball's, like I said, going to sit in more of a predictable place, and he's going to get more of a rhythm. The other two, Nadal and Federer, don't really give you as much of a rhythm from point to point. So we'll see some examples here.
Stan generated the power. Novak was ready to handle
his game.
I do like
the last 12 months he's improved tremendously.
Just so much more from Stan. Gives him less time to kind of get him on the defense. See if we can find a rally that. These are probably more of the rallies that Stan wants to be in against Djokovic. They're a little more prolonged. It's kind of what Djokovic wants as well. So it's kind of just about who's more on at the time. Stan's a more aggressive on that side. We look deuce here. Going forward. I do like Stan can score as well. There's more confidence there. As opposed to sitting back.
Conviction, and then look how he prepares as he moves forward, stays low. Forehand volley out in front, nice firm wrist. Excellent technique from Wawrinka.
That's a few more points here. The ball is going to be, just like I said, more predictable in this particular case. Some break points. I see Djokovic probably going to go more toward try to get to the backhand more, as you see. Saving some more break point there. The serve, obviously, especially the second serve from Djokovic, is not quite as strong as the others. These are the kind of rallies that Stan probably wants to get into more prolonged, where he has time to really go for it. And that's when you get the break.
in the fifth game of the match for Stan Wawrinka.
It'd be too much on the defense.
And as you see, Djokovic's court positioning is pretty far back. He's probably 5 to 10, probably 10 feet behind the baseline, which is where Stan wants him, because he can't. I mean, obviously, there's really very few, if any, players that are going to hit through the court from that far back. Stan gets time to get in a rhythm. Once he gets in a rhythm and more confidence, that's when he's, in some ways, maybe the best player in the world at times.
Good and too much fun.
It's like a video game. Both sides, and then a little finesse there from Djokovic just to change the pace of the rally.
What do you think, for maybe a top, maybe, I mean, you could even talk about yourself potentially, but for, a top touring pro, who do you think you would most, or who do you think they or you would most like to play? Obviously, it might vary depending on surface. You would think probably on a clay surface. Nadal is probably someone you don't want to see. But like I said, all three are great players. But I'm interested to see what you guys think. Who would you most like to face? Or who do you think you might have the best chance at, assuming that we could all actually play at a professional level consistently. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to comment below and start discussion
Those
here.
players that
Interested to
can
see what you
maintain
guys
this
come up
level
with.
for an
Thank you.
extended period against the world #1.
Peace.